Hi guys, welcome to Shield's Cooking. Today I'm going to show you how to make a two-color pasta dough, and from that we're going to create a pumpkin ravioli with a fig leaf sauce. So, let's begin. We're going to begin with the pumpkin filling. Cut one big pumpkin in half and scrape out the seeds. Transfer them into a bowl and cover them completely with water. Now wash them and then transfer the seeds into a saucepan. Then add 200 grams of water, 200 grams of sugar, 6 pieces of star anise and 3 pieces of cinnamon. Bring this to a boil and then let it simmer for 20 minutes. After that, transfer the seeds and spices on a tray that's laid with a silicone sheet. Spread this and then bake it at 160 degrees Celsius till golden. After that, remove the spices and let it cool down. Then transfer it into a blender and blitz it into a fine crumble. Now take your pumpkin and season it with salt and oil. Then turn it around and bake it at 200 degrees Celsius for 1 hour. When still hot, turn it around and scrape out all the pumpkin meat. Transfer it into a bowl. Now cut 1200 grams of the pumpkin in big chunks and then transfer it into a baking pan. Cover it with 500 grams of vegetable stock and 4 grams of bell pepper powder. Then slowly reduce this till all the liquid has vaporized. After that, transfer it into a blender and spin it for a couple of seconds. Make sure that it still has some texture. Then season with the pumpkin powder and when necessary also with some salt. Now put it in a piping bag. Then let's make the fig leaf pasta dough. First put 80 grams of fig leaves in the blender. Also add 200 grams of whole egg and 2 grams of salt. Mix this till it's completely smooth. Then put it through a fine sieve and use a ladle to press out all the liquid. Now pour 200 grams of flour in your worktop and use the bowl to make a hole in the middle. Fill it with 50 grams of semolina flour, 25 grams of olive oil and 180 grams of the fig leaf mixture. Now knead this into a nice dough. Then transfer it into a bowl, cover it with plastic foil and let it set in your fridge for 2 hours. Now for the neutral pasta dough. Pour 200 grams of flour in your worktop and again use your bowl to make a well in the middle. Add 50 grams of semolina flour, 2 grams of salt, 25 grams of olive oil and 200 grams of egg yolk. Knead this into a nice ball of dough. Then cover it with plastic foil and let it rest in your fridge for 2 hours. Once both doughs have rested, divide them into pieces of 60 grams. Now flour your worktop and roll out the dough on a pasta machine. Roll it until it has reached the maximum whiteness. Roll the colors one by one and stack them after each color. Use a little bit of water if the layers don't stick to each other. Once you have used all the dough, cut the sides with a sharp knife. These trimmings are used for a beautiful tagliatelle. You definitely don't have to throw them. Wrap the colored pasta in plastic foil and let it set in your fridge for 2 hours. Meanwhile, we're going to make the fig leaf sauce. Start by cleaning 250 grams of shallot. Now chop it. Then heat up a saucepan, add a splash of oil and glaze the shallots together with 4 grams of salt. Once softened, add 100 grams of white wine and 40 grams of white wine vinegar. Reduce this completely and then add 500 grams of vegetable stock and 500 grams of double cream. Reduce this to 2/3 and then blender it with a hand blender. Then add 30 grams of fig leaves and let this marinate for 1 hour. After that, put it through a fine sieve and use a ladle so you don't waste a single drop. Now take your pasta dough and use a sharp knife to cut it in thin slices. Give it a soft roll with a rolling pin and then roll it on a pasta machine to the desired thickness. Mine is around 2 millimeters. Now cut it into squares and then press a round line on half of the squares. Use this as a guidance to pipe your pumpkin filling. Brush a thin layer of water on the other pasta dough and put it upside down on the filling. Press this together and make it extra tight with the back of a round cutter. Then cut it with a big round cutter and then with a small one. Repeat this process with all the other pasta and make sure you press the sides well so the filling won't leak out later. Now bring some water to a boil and season it with salt. Then turn down the heat to a simmer and cook the raviolis for around 1 minute. Once they're cooked, glaze them with a little bit of the sauce and then transfer them on a hot plate. Sprinkle some of the pumpkin seed powder on top. And now finish it off with the hot sauce mixed with a little bit of pumpkin seed oil. Enjoy, guys! Okay guys, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. So please let me know in the comments on what you want to see next. Like and share the video and subscribe if you want to see more. And as always, bon appetit!